Hi guys, I'm back with a little more of a controversial subject today. Why I did not finish Kings of the Wyld. I started reading because I actually liked the premise, bringing the band back together, and in a world where bands of mercenaries are actually treated like rock bands, and then going on a big tour and defeating monsters all over the world. I thought that would be a great book, and I actually enjoyed that idea. I had also heard that the humor was great and that there were a lot of 80s references in there, and as I might have already mentioned and as you might have already seen by the vinyl sleeve behind my back, I love the 80s. I think, yeah, but there are some over there as well, but I've got Motorhead, I've got Venom. On the other side, I've got, those are hard to see, but there's Deep Purple there, there's Barry White there, there's even some ABBA there, no shame. But then there I have Whitesnake, Old School Raven, Maiden, stuff like that. But yeah, those are impossible to see for you, but this actually goes all the way around that long wall, but that's not important. I have to be honest though, that premise is the only thing that actually got me reading this book, because the storyline is just this basic rescue quest, and it immediately felt to me like it was a D&D campaign, a Dungeons and Dragons campaign full of old people. Next to those old people, there's also a lot of cliches, which I expected. I did not expect them to be so abundant, but I did expect them. And I had heard it described as well as Guardians of the Galaxy in a Dungeons and Dragons setting. It doesn't come close to that, not at all. It does not have any of the character depth of Guardians, nor does it have the actual humor of Guardians. But humor is subjective, so I'll give that one a pass. The main characters, they're a mixed bunch. There's one that got turned stone. There's a wizard that's searching for a cure for a lethal disease. I do like the wizard, but I can't take him seriously because, his name is Moog, and I immediately thought of him as a Moogle from Final Fantasy, and I always had him in my head looking like an actual pig. So yeah, that was one of the parts that made me not finish the books. But then one's been turned into a king as well, and the rogue, and then there's our main character Clay, our point of view character. He's just he's just a guard now, somewhere in a remote town with a family, and he's the fourth of the five. The fifth, of course, being our rogue, as I just mentioned, who is the father of the girl they have to rescue. And he used to be the band leader, but now he's become this weak and even cowardly old man. Of course, stricken with grief, which is not hard to relate to, but it is something that is not really that believable, in the sense that if you're a rock, or if you're in a rock band and your kids go in a rock band as well, you probably will be proud of them. And in a world where bands of mercenaries are treated like actual rock bands and get given a lot of privileges, and then your daughter actually goes in a mercenary band as well, I don't know, he being scared does not really fit with the actual world building, in my opinion, which actually, turns down, or not turns down, but drags down the entire quest or the entire storyline, in my opinion. And so these old characters, in combination with the jokes and jokes a big word, with the humor and the 80s references and all of the cliches in that book, it just seems like it's trying to hold this book together with jokes and cliches instead of an actual plotline, which is disturbing because I read books for an actual plotline. And although I like the premise and the world in itself mostly, I did not like the execution. There are too many generic monsters. the magic system is not fleshed out enough. While it does seem like it would be very powerful, it doesn't get used often enough for me to actually judge it, but it looks like it could have saved them out of some situations a lot more easily than they have had or had been. And I think it could have been used to a lot more effect than it actually has. There are some good characters. As I said, I like our wizard, Moog. He is actually a good character. Our king is actually not that bad either. He reminds me a bit of Robert Baratheon from A Song of Ice and Fire, but not nearly as well thought out as him. There are a lot of one-dimensional characters too, and that is one of the other problems I've had with it. I can't seem to connect to any of the characters. I mean, I get having a reluctant hero in Clay, but on the other hand, he's so reluctant that he actually is making me reluctant to actually finish the book, to read the book. So a lack of a sympathetical hero is another reason I have not finished this book, and I probably will not finish this one either. The dialogue is not that great either. Mostly because it consists of questions and answers, and then there's insults and jokes and witty quips without there being an actual substance to it. Although I do have to admit that Clay does have some very good internal monologuing and some good quotes as well. I'm not going to say a lot of good quotes, but he has some things that he says that I find not really inspirational, but something that makes me think, okay, yeah, that's something I would read. I mean, that's something that I would like to read, and something I would write myself. But you know, it's something that I expect to read in a fantasy book. But you know, even a broken clock gets his right twice a day, so that doesn't mean a lot. I also think that Nicholas Eames, okay, it's his first book, but he tried way too hard to make everything look cool. And not everything is supposed to be cool, I think, when they're dealing with loss or with disease or with stuff like that. Not everything is supposed to be cool. And there are also multiple Deus Ex Machinas, mostly because I think the magic system hasn't been fleshed out yet, and they're just so lucky. Even when they're speaking of their past victories, there were some stuff that I came totally out of left field, which I did not expect, and which did not make sense or any sense at all. And in my opinion, that diminishes the stature of the band, because, you know, Saga, the band that the name of the band was one of the best bands back in their day. But this makes it seem like they were just a bunch of lucky guys instead of being actually skilled fighters. And they're still just living off of that reputation, even though they did not deserve it in any way. Except for, what's his name? Ganelon? Yeah, they're one great fighter. I can't even remember his name. But they have one great fighter, the one that's been turned to stone, and they turn him back human. He's still the same age as he was when he was turned to stone, so he's 20 years younger than them, which means he's still in his prime, and of course he already was the best fighter of their band, but now he definitely is the best fighter of their band, because half of them can't even walk straight anymore. And it makes it seem like they were lucky to have Ganelon in the past, and to have some magic weapons and shields also, because they can't seem to do anything or much by themselves without being helped by Deus Ex Machinas, as I have already mentioned. And there's also the rot. This is something problematic, not really because it's a disease or a lethal disease, or because of the plot, because I think it actually helps the plot in the sense that it makes Moog at least a good character in his search for that incurable disease. But on the other hand, it's a disease that is slowly killing you from the inside, And the only character that we know of that has succumbed to this disease is gay and is named Freddy. And I think this is a totally overt reference to AIDS, and I think that's something that's it's I don't know. It kind of struck a nerve with me. I thought, I was like, come on, is this the best you can do? Bringing out a disease like the rot, and then just having our only gay Moogs, his husband, having our only gay character, especially named Freddy, die of something that's called AIDS. Come on, I can't express into words how disturbing I find that one, actually. And it was brought to my attention that his name was Freddy by a friend of mine. I had noticed, but I hadn't made the connection yet. I thought, yeah, okay, and it ruined the book for me. I wasn't going to finish it anyway, but it ruined the book completely for me. On the other hand, I do have to be honest, I think I went into this book expecting something wrong, in the sense that I was wearing my epic fantasy hat, so to speak, and not having on my funny or Terry Pratchett hat. I think I was not in the mood for something light as that. One, because I didn't expect it, and two, because of the entire situation we're living in at the moment, which does mean I might actually go back to it one day, but because I bought it, and I want to finish it at least. But I will say that even when I get back, it definitely won't be anytime soon. So yeah, I'd love to hear your opinions about this, because I am quite sure that it's an unpopular one, according to stuff like Reddit and Facebook and other booktubers who all thought it was a great book. I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking. Leave it in the comments. Bye bye.